If you're listening to this, then you're listening to Facts Fiveum. If you're listening to Facts Fiveum, you are listening to facts. None of those opinions or feelings. No. Everything is objective facts, and anyone who says otherwise is lying. And those are the facts. Today I'm going to be reading an article that came to me regarding the great state of Missouri. Missouri. I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce it. I'm just an East Coast coastal elite sipping on my latte as I look down at those flyover bumpkins. Well, okay, maybe I should stop joking, because the actual contents of the article are rather depressing. And also I find them to be worth discussing. So without further ado, let's get into this, rather depressing article about Missouri. Title: How Am I Supposed to Survive? Subtitle: Missourians at a loss as state demands repayment of unemployment money. By Lauren Traeger. Published March 26, 2022 at 8:23 p.m. Updated that same day at 10:08 p.m. Jefferson City, Missouri, KMOV.com. Missouri Governor Mike Parson is telling desperate people in his state to pay up, but his response is not a satisfactory answer to some lawmakers who will call top state leaders to the carpet to testify about unemployment benefits on Tuesday. A News 4 investigation recently revealed thousands of residents are being told they were incorrectly paid unemployment benefits they say they needed during the pandemic. Quote, "To try to figure out how to pay $10,000 back right now, it's impossible," end quote, said Daphne Lindsay Thomas. Thomas is just one of thousands of people who were told they owe the state of Missouri. Last month, News 4 Investigates revealed at least 11,300 people had been mistakenly overpaid on federal unemployment funds to the tune of more than $44 million, but state officials have refused to do interviews or provide more information about just how widespread the problem is. The people who spoke to News 4 said they thought the money was to help them make ends meet in the pandemic. Quote, "I feel I didn't do anything wrong, but what I was supposed to do," end quote, said Thomas. Though fired from her job over COVID concerns, Daphne was accepted for unemployment and paid for 5 months before the state did an about-face. Quote, "I just don't believe why they would give to you and then take it away," end quote. School bus driver Jerry Littleton said when schools shut down, he and his co-workers were encouraged to file for unemployment. He was told he has to pay the money back, but other co-workers were not, leaving him completely confused by the state's actions. Quote, "That's the words they used. No fault on your part, no omission on your part, no fraud on your part. But you need to pay this back because we made a mistake." I'm like, "Okay," end quote, he said. Michelle Evermore with the National Employment Law Project believes citizens should not bear the burden of states' mistakes. Quote, "This is absolutely a crisis. I would characterize it as nothing short of that, and it's a national crisis," end quote, she said. Quote, "They have to look for mistakes as a matter of law, but it took them so long to get around to it that people had accrued huge balances," end quote, Evermore said. Federal law, she notes, allows states to waive the debt. Quote, "Generally what that means, if the agency made a mistake or the person made a good faith error and recouping that money would create hardship, then that standard should apply," end quote, Evermore said. But recently, Governor Parson indicated a whole-scale waiver is not in the cards. Quote, "Some people did try to defraud the system, and we know that. To give them a free pass is one thing," end quote, he said. Quote, "If you got more money than you should have an obligation to pay it back because you are taking away from someone," end quote. But Littleton explains the amount certain people received, in many cases, critical payments, is not something that can be returned. Quote, "Nobody has the chump change to try to change it back," end quote, Littleton said. Thomas said she got a letter in the mail saying she had an appeal hearing, but the date had already passed by the time she got the letter. The state so far has not answered our repeated questions about how many of the overpayments were fraud, how many were just mistakes, and how many were the fault of the state. This whole issue is coming before a hearing in Jefferson City tomorrow afternoon. personally, I read through this one because I think that it really demonstrates the priorities of Missouri and, well, similar such red states in general, a fixation on kicking down rather than punching up. Sure, they may use the rhetoric of populism, but when push comes to shove, the only populism they espouse is popular elitism, a need to feel better than someone else by virtue of your perceived normalness. I really can't speak for how Missouri will react to this, or even if the voters of Missouri will react to this at all. Then again, for all I know, maybe Missouri's so gerrymandered it won't matter. Only time will tell, but if you live in Missouri, well, good luck. Hello, this is Fiveum, saying thank you for listening, and I sincerely hope that you enjoyed it. If you can, please like and share it around, and if you're feeling especially generous, please subscribe. I need at least 100 subscribers to change my YouTube channel's URL, and my default is long and ugly, and I really don't like it. It would be extremely helpful for me if you subscribed. But you don't have to. I'm not your boss. I'm just Fiveum. And right now, I'm signing off.